College apologizes for even showing picture of a Republican, which offended many students. I don't think there's anything else to say about that. I'm Dr. Duke. Katie is back, and this is the Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today, we start in Maine, where students at a private university got their collective underwear in a bunch after the school dared to post a series of photos across campus promoting voting. And one of those pictures, actually was a Republican.
This is happening at Bates College in the great state of Maine. I don't even know if we can call it a great state, but in Maine, where the university decided, okay, we're going to have on our Instagram account various pictures of student voters from various student organizations. And there were 11 in total. But that third photo on the third day, instead of he rose again, they posted a photo of a Republican. And it was one of the college Republicans, and of course that offended everyone. So what does the university do? They apologize. But that's not good enough. There must be more. They must be taken into account. And so hundreds of students decided, you know what? This photo offends us so much that we're going to protest. We're going to hold a rally. And it was pathetic.
And the president of the college came and apologized again.
Of course.
So you have a picture of a Republican, one out of dozens of pictures of election day, right? All these little snapshots of campus life.
Well, yeah, and it's them leading up to the election of the kids from various student organizations, and they're all pretty neutral or left-leaning. Like there was a profile on a kid from the environmental club.
Right.
Like, okay. But this was what they're claiming is this was a specific party affiliation. So there wasn't a college Democrat, there was a college Republican.
Well, the question becomes where in all of these clubs and fancy schmancy things that they do on college campuses, where do you find Republicans? I mean,
the one club.
You're telling me these kids would have been okay if alongside a picture of the campus Republican, there was one from a campus Democrat. They would have been okay.
No. You can't say they would not be okay if it was alongside. They would have been okay if it was like on day 2 they did the college Democrat. They probably wouldn't have said a thing. But because it was college Republican, that's what their undies are in a bunch about.
And so all this means is that we've reached the point where to be a Republican on a college campus is to be a racist. Like to be a police officer on a college campus is to be a abuser of African Americans.
Yeah.
Okie dokie then.
Yep. So they, we're supposed to be posting one a day. And once that third student got profiled, that Republican, it all blew up. And then, as you said, the college president went to the rally and, of course, just said, "What was me? We apologize. Mea culpa." But
what specifically did he say? Because you're doing. You're saying we actually have Republican school students on campus. We actually have a Republican club on campus.
Yep. For
now. And so by showing one of our students engaged in a club that the university, the college, theoretically supports, you have to apologize for that.
Yes. Clayton Spencer, Bates' president, went to the rally and said, "It was incredibly insensitive of me to speak about the election without taking that into account," when he was talking about the fact that they're college Republican. He added that it added harm, fear, and feelings of unsafety inflicted on the Bates community, the whole election and all that led up to it.
So
he is apologizing for all of that.
If you're saying that, what you're basically saying is we apologize that Republicans are even here. Now, if he was seriously sorry for that, and this was seriously accepted at the highest levels of Bates governance, that this is indeed an unsafe thing, an uncomfortable thing, the thing that causes pain to these progressive students, have to confront the fact that there are Republicans on campus. Just get rid of the Republicans.
Oh, don't worry. They have demands, and that's probably the unwritten
apology
one.
was not enough,
right?
Of
course. Here are the demands. It's a whole thing. 5. They first wanted the apology from the administration regarding the silencing of students in restriction of free speech. Because what they did is they turned the comments off. So then the kids were upset. I won't say the P word. Upset that they couldn't speak out on it.
About how bad Republicans are.
Then they wanted the deletion of the Instagram post, which they did. The post was deleted. And then they want a direct stance against racism. Wait, what? Left
Right.
turn, left turn.
What does that have to do with anything?
Wait,
No.
huh?
It
Nothing.
just means that Republican equals racism.
It does, of course.
Right.
Continue. So they want a commitment to anti-racism work. Remember, anti-racism, maybe that's the phrase of 2020. There's many that we could pick for phrases. BIPOC definitely is in there. We'll have to do a whole show, just our list of the phrases of 2020. Anyway, continue. They also want a commitment from all affiliated Bates student organizations to anti-racism work. And that's maybe where they get rid of all the college Republicans, because any college Republican who's worth the salt wouldn't say, like, oh, you're just going to determine.
What would be the one thing a college Republican can do to fight, to engage in anti-racism work is to get rid of college Republicans?
Become the college Democrats.
I mean, that's it. That's exactly right.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just do it now.
Yeah. And then the final, a requirement for all Bates students to take a course in critical race theory.
Because there was a picture of a Republican that made it onto a university
A
site.
profile about voting.
That's right.
That's all it takes, friends.
Yep, and so here you are in the new world. Now, this is some very expensive, very snooty private liberal arts college. I mean, we've said many times in this college that as bad as the public universities are, at least there is oversight. At these snooty little places like Bates College, where you've got 1,200 students and you're paying $70,000, $80,000 a year, and they're private. This is the kind of stuff. Literally, they could throw this Republican group off campus. Maybe they would be sued, maybe they wouldn't be. But because it's a private liberal arts college, they have a lot more room to maneuver this. So just do it, President of Bates. Just get rid of them.
Just a minor correction. It's only like $56,000 for tuition there.
Well, when I said 70, 80, when you factor in room and board and all the rest of it,
yeah.
Right? All the other stuff that you have to do.
Fine.
I mean, it's only $56,000 for tuition.
That's true.
And part of that now has to be a mandatory credit. Oh, and I have in the past scoured the Bates website because in my past, that was one of the places that was offering jobs in my field. So I know what this place is. That this mandatory class in critical race that they're asking for would be utterly redundant at Bates, because they're getting it already in six or seven different formats. Diversity issues across. You think the humanities program is not teaching that already?
Oh yeah.
You think their English department is not steeped in critical race theory? But on top of all that now, and we're going to get to the point where these kids are going to demand no classes allowed unless they're critical race theory. Only critical race. Here's what we demand, because you showed a picture of a Republican on a voting day. We're demanding only critical race classes be offered to all of our students, and they're mandated to take them. In fact, let's get rid of Gen Ed and just make it critical. That, by the way, is quickly coming to us. The idea that we're going to get rid of Gen Ed or hijack Gen Ed so that for the first 2 years of their schooling, they're pretty much getting an endless dose of critical race theory.
I am very sad to learn that you cannot get a good cup of joe at Boise State University in Idaho.
Shouldn't that be a good cup of Jane?
That's true. Maybe Joe or Jane. You can't get Joe or Jane at Boise State University. And it's because after just a few months, barely like not even a semester of being open, the Big City Coffee and Cafe had to close because students complained about the owner's pro-police views. The student government actually called for the closing basically right away, like almost the first meeting this fall semester. They called for the closing of a coffee shop on campus.
Well, now, if I may,
you
jump
may.
the punchline here.
Of course
when
you
we
will.
say pro-police, did they have huge parades of cops around campus? Did they have, free coffee for cops so that every other seat was taken by a police officer? Or did they simply have a little decal visible? What was it that tipped off students that this little coffee house supported the police?
So here's the deal. The shop had replaced the Starbucks that was at the campus library, which I want to go to that school just for Starbucks and campus library.
Well, Starbucks, reliably progressive.
Oh, of course. Yes. Well, maybe that's what they were more bitter about. Bitter coffee. Anyway, Sarah Fenley was the owner of the Big City Coffee and Cafe, and she's engaged to a police officer who lost his leg after suffering multiple gunshot wounds in a crossfire with a felon back in 2017.
Well, that's not very anti-racist. If he were a legitimately concerned police officer, he'd have lost his life instead of his leg, the cop pig.
Oh, well,
that would be truly anti-racism, wouldn't it?
Yes. Well, according to the story, Sarah Fenley had displayed, the thin blue line on the flag. Like we support the police. We back the blue.
Where did they display it?
In the shop.
So basically something, a sticker,
right,
yes,
okay.
Right.
So back in a meeting for the student government, the Inclusive Excellence Student Council, IESC, condemned the decision to bring the restaurant to campus in the first place. And it was just several days. Again, this was beginning of September is when this first kicked off, and that now she just closed. But they had just had their soft opening, and right away, they must be condemned for their actions. And members of the IESC expressed concern over Fenley's pro-police beliefs and, again, the display of a thin blue line. It was a flag. Mm-hmm. I don't know how big that flag was. It does not say. But anyway, this is what gets me in the story. And it's regarding the fact that, again, Fenley's fiance was shot multiple times while doing his job back in 2017. By a felon. Dr. Duke, question?
His job, as we know, is to harass black people.
This is true.
And so if he was shot, that was deserved. The fact is, I repeat, how did he get away with both his legs and a beating heart?
This I do not know.
I mean, I remember the brave Antifa when they were in the streets, in which they basically said, kill pigs.
That's true. But this was 2017, not 2020, and we got real ratcheted up in 2020. So if this would happen now,
I'm really concerned that this cop is still alive.
You know what?
I'm engaging the Dr. Duke show.
I bet
the Dr. Duke show is now engaging in anti-race critical theory.
We've taken our critical
race theory. And our big concern
course.
here is the cop is alive. I mean, forget the other stuff. This cop is alive. What are we going to do about that, America? To make these college kids feel safer? What can be done about him living?
Well, according to Vice President of Inclusive Excellence, Ryan Banks, he stated that this company is going to encourage this type of behavior. Again, this is going back to him. See, he's very upset that he is also alive, too, that the cop is. Okay.
That's right.
This type of behavior on campus and attract those types of people to our campus. The ones who've been shot in the leg, those people.
In the line of duty.
It should not be up to marginalized students to fix this. It is up to the administrators to fix this and allow for students to have a voice. So he can't have a leg, but they can have a voice.
We're doing this story because they've got a great big voice.
Uh-huh.
But they need a bigger voice.
The bigger.
And the problem is that the cop still has a voice.
Yes. He doesn't have a leg,
now,
but he has a voice.
He's not in the story. No one interviewed him.
No.
We don't even know why he was shot. But that cop has a voice. I assume he's talking to somebody.
Crossfire with a felon. Crossfire. Okay.
Was that felon black?
I do not know. We have known for half a decade. 3 years? How much is half a decade?
5 years?
5. Anyway, we have known for half a decade that they support thin blue line. Mm-hmm. And this is unacceptable and should have never happened.
Yep.
Yeah, the cop shouldn't have been shot. Is that what you're referring to? Because I agree with that.
No, that never should. No, that's not what they're talking about.
Anyway, a member of the student government or the council, Alyssa Wainana, actually said, we are supporting an organization that blatantly supports the thin blue line, and every black person I know has stories of being treated unfairly at this place. Leave campus. Leave campus. Leave campus then.
Every black student I know, when you and I say things like, but I have black friends, I'm not a racist.
You're racist.
What do they say?
You're a racist.
Racist for saying that.
Yeah.
But all my black friends say they were harassed by cops.
Yeah.
And here's the question, the $64,000 questions.
Ooh.
Question, how many of your black friends were harassed by this one-legged cop?
I need to call for a lifeline. Can I use a lifeline in this question?
Yes, you may call somebody, as long as they're black.
A leg line.
But they can't be your friend.
Good point. Now, the university's statement is, at no point did we say that Sarah needs to close. She did voluntarily close because, she kind of has to.
You think?
But 20 students are now unemployed because of this. So there's that. You got 20 students unemployed.
And what the university should do is immediately pay them the salary they would have gotten from that coffee shop for the hurt and the injury they caused those kids because there was a Blue Lives flag in this coffee house. Mm-hmm. Starbucks never would have done that. Starbucks would have found a way to both off the cop and provide jobs for 20 people.
And give you burnt car.
Just let that be your lesson for the day.
Mm-hmm. So we know cops are getting shot in the leg. by felons in Crossfire. They're also now getting yelled at on Zoom calls. Ooh, 2020. So mysterious. Anyway, they're getting yelled at on these Zoom calls, and now, of course, that means they need to be fired. The Santa Clara University in Santa Clara, California, is facing pressure to fire a campus safety officer because, again, he dare have that Blue Lives Matter emblem in his Zoom background during a diversity meeting. So it was the Fall Diversity Forum, and Assistant Director of Campus Safety, John Thomas Loretto III, displayed a Blue Lives Matter sticker in his background. And according to Santa Clara Multicultural Center's Instagram page, when students address the white supremacist icon, because it's, of course, a white supremacist icon, he unabashedly supported for the anti-black symbol. See all that word soup they just put in there? So the guy had a sticker that supports the cops, and that's racist, it's white supremacy, and he must be fired.
Well, my question is that when's he going to lose a leg?
That's a good.
I mean, that seems to be fair, right?
Well, he needs to be fired and then lose a leg, or lose a leg and then get fired. I'm not sure.
That's fine. We got to take a leg,
order?
Right?
Yeah, we got to take a leg.
It's only just that the cop, who was the fiance of that stupid coffee owner. That all deserve. They deserve that, right?
Deserve that.
To actually be a working cop and to engage criminals, you at least deserve to lose a leg, right?
Course,
so
exactly.
my question is, why don't they take this guy's leg?
That's a good question.
Would not that be a solution?
It's a solution, not the only one that they want, though. According to their Instagram post, again, only Margaret Russell, a black law professor, reacted and ensured students there would be a response to his action. Not a single other administrator supported her. Oh my gosh, this sticker, it just caused the end of my life. Anyway, the university administrators did send an email apologizing. Can we stop saying it's apologizing? It's groveling.
They're
groveling.
Conceding, quitting. You know, there's a lot of good.
There's a lot of better than apologize. That's just so. They whip it. Anyway, they sent an email apologizing for the incident that, quote, damaged the trust and faith. Are we allowed to talk about faith? That the university
can have faith in the secular communist state. Yes, you may.
George Michael style. The trust and faith that the university is trying to build. The email actually read, the assistant director of campus safety services participated in the event with a postcard on a bookshelf behind him. It's like, where's Waldo? You had to find it. Or I Spy. A bookshelf behind him that it's widely considered to be an effort to undermine the Black Lives Matter movement. Again, this is just a Blue Lives Matter, Green Lives Matter, Pink Lives Matter, Red Lives, I don't know, movement, and its universally important goals. And then a university spokeswoman actually declined to comment, calling it a personnel matter, so we don't know what's happening with Officer Loretto.
Yeah, so the guy had, it was everything else behind him. There was a postcard. Yeah, we know what this is. Is this now has become...
Oh, don't do that.
Is this now
don't
racist?
Do that. Stop it.
Used to me...
Stop it.
But doesn't it have to be like this?
I don't know.
Isn't it? Or is this...
what color is your skin? And then tell me if it's good or bad. Because this in the NBA is like, 3-point shot. Yeah, you can do that.
All my life, this meant okay.
Okay.
But not. But I'm asking because I genuinely don't know. Isn't this now considered a white supremacist
if it's below
symbol?
The waist, it means you get to punch or kick a guy in the nads. But
is that what that means?
That's what it used to mean in school. Guys did that all the time.
So postcard behind this poor safety schmuck. I still think, take a leg.
Take a leg. It's time for some real education. The image known as the Virgin of Vladimir, also known as Vladimir, Mother of God, and Our Lady of Vladimir, is a 12th century Byzantine icon depicting the Virgin and Child, and an early example of the Elusa iconographic type, which emphasized the tenderness of Mary as the Christ child snuggles against her cheek. It was painted by an anonymous artist in Constantinople in or about the year 1131, and it is one of the most culturally significant and celebrated pieces of art in Russian history.
So this is really a great image, and it comes from a long time ago in the 12th century. Take a look, and you can see that this is classic Byzantine iconographic imagery. Notice that you have the typical gold background, and notice how it's almost not even two-dimensional, not even three-dimensional, excuse me. That's part of the. It's not a lack of skill on the part of Byzantine artists. They created that golden background to make it almost look one-dimensional in a sense, not because they didn't know how to create depth necessarily, because there is depth. Take a look at the face of the Christ child and the cheek of the Mother of God. There clearly is depth there. But these glorious golden backgrounds that you get in Byzantine icons are to suggest a complete elision between the temporal world, the time-bound world that we live in, and the eternal world that the mother and child occupy. And so you have here a melding of our time and their time. You are breaking down the boundaries between heaven and earth. And so this is really kind of a neat image. And the thing that's most interesting about it is just how sensitive and suffering the eyes of the Mother of God are. I mean, this is a mother of sorrows. The Mother of God, Mary, was told, in the Gospels it tells us, she was told that a sword would pierce her soul too, that the suffering of Christ would become her suffering. And she knows that. The Christ child, of course, is still a baby. And look at the loving way it looks up at the mother. But she knows. She knows not just the glory of the story, but the suffering. If he is going to become a man of constant sorrow, she is going to become the suffering mother too. And that gaze that you can't look away from, that gaze, which is a deep well of emotion, is something that is very dear to the Eastern Orthodox faith and those who profess it. This icon, beautiful as it is, was once sent to Kiev as a gift before being transferred to the Assumption Cathedral in Vladimir. It is traditionally said that the icon did not leave the city until 1395, when it was brought to Moscow to protect the city from an invasion from Timur or Tamerlane, one of the great conquerors of the East. Although the historical accuracy of this claim is not certain, but at least by the 16th century, it was in the Dormition Cathedral in Moscow, where it remained until it was removed by the communists to the State Tretyakov Gallery after the Russian Revolution. At least they didn't burn it.
All right, as always, if you're a fan of the show, please consider a just one-time, tax-deductible donation of $99 toward our Patriot Club. And as a thank you, we're going to ship you this stainless steel tumbler, etched with the words, "Freedom never tasted so good." All you have to do to get signed up is visit patriotclub.us. That's patriotclub.us. Now we're going to wrap things up with the fun fact of the day. Campus policing actually dates back to 1894, when Yale University actually established the Yale Campus Police Department. And then it took about another 73 years for a good chunk of the college and the university security departments to become police departments across the nation.
And when do they all lose their legs?
Good question.
And that's going to do it for this show. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke. She's Katie. Until next time, stay educated, my friends.